Ooh, we're live. Oh, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. It is Money Monday, and I hope that you guys have done at least one thing to add some value to your purse or your wallet. But if you haven't, I'm going to do this for you at the beginning of the show, and I'm going to do it for you afterwards, okay? So if you haven't done anything, or if you have done something, then this is just going to add to whatever it is that you've already done, all right? So you know how we do it here. Open up your spiritual purse, open up your actual purse, open up your bank account, open up your spiritual bank account, because we want you to know that you are worth every dollar. Let's see. Hold on. It's being ghetto. Hold on. I gotta do it the other way. You know we gotta improvise. We gotta improvise. You know I'm from Miami, so you know when it run out, we know how to just make it rain, make it rain, make it rain. All right, so I hope that just with that encounter that it got you focused on your funds. Today, I am going to be chatting it up with one of my boss babes. She is a meal planner, and what we've been talking about all month long is how food can impact your ability to create more money, okay? So I know that sounds a little off, right? It sounds a little off, like, Shawnee, come on, man. I hear you saying some things, but come on, right? So there's actually a book. It's called Food and Wealth. I'm going to drop it inside the comments section. It's called Food and Wealth by Amy Martin. Interesting enough, while I was reading the book, I found a lot of the things in the book to be a lot of the things that I was already doing. So it really helped out just to get some add-ons, right? So I like to get encouragement, you know? Drop in the comment section if you like when you already doing something right. Drop me a money bag. Drop me a money bag in the comment section. Whereas if you are already doing something well and then someone else comes along and confirms it for you, does it give you more money motivation to keep going? It does for me. All right. So the book was really, really cool. And what's even better is that at the end of the month, which is December the 28th, which seems like very close to the end of the year, I am going to be having a Money and Mojitos workshop, okay? Money and Mojitos. So what this looks like is we will have a conversation about your money goals leading into 2021, okay? We'll have some talk about your money goals. And then after we talk about your money goals, we are going to talk about no, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to make some mojitos. We're going to make some mojitos, okay? For those of you that are kind of new to the Purse Empowerment community, one of the things that I do every single month is that I make sure that I address some aspect of your money as it relates to the mechanics, the mathematics, how you relate to money, how you spend it, how you lend it, how you save it, how you share it, how you invest it, all of those things. But I also want to make sure that you are having a lot of fun while you are making healthy decisions about your funds. So this month, Money and Mojitos will allow you to address your money goals, right? As well as allow you to have some fun. So it's going to be some connectivity, right? So we're going to, all of my workshops are digital, completely digital, just to be, you know, just because the community is wide. And also we want to make sure that we are COVID clean, sis. We want to keep it COVID clean around here, okay? So I'm going to drop that link for those of you who would like to hang out with us, talk about your money goals and some strategic ways to achieve them. And then we are going to make some mojitos, okay? So interesting, while we're making some mojitos is because the mojitos actually have some of the ingredients that was shared in the book Food and Wealth. With that said, I'm going to bring in my book club buddy, my meal planning sister, to chop it up. And we're going to talk a lot about how some of the things we've already been implementing. We've been reading the book for the entire month. So of course we've already delved into it and already started implementing, but I'm going to bring on Crystal and we are going to start chopping it up about the book. Everybody give Crystal some of that Purse Empowerment love. Hey Chris, come on.
Hey sis,
hey.
Good evening, good afternoon for those watching the replay.
If you want to take a few, say that again.
No, just saying hello.
Oh, hey, Talisha. If you want to take a few seconds, Crystal, and drop this link on your page so that other people can tune into the conversation, you can. if you want to go ahead and do that, if you need like a couple seconds to go ahead and do that.
Yes.
All right, girl, while she's sharing that out, guys, be sure to drop some of your comments in the comment section as it relates to Shawnee. Can you be for real? Is my diet really gonna help me make more dollars? Like, for real, sis, really? Right? Yes, it does, right? Just if it's just the simplicity of just brain, connectivity, just choosing healthier foods that's just gonna energize your body faster, things that's just gonna give you more mental clarity. But interesting enough, Amy had some ideas. I'm waiting for you, Chris. Chris, you shared that out so you can jump into the conversation. While she's there, for those of you, look at the list. I shared this list out last week. And if you are already eating some of these foods, drop me a money bag in the comment section. Let's show that list, Natasha. Let's show the list of foods that everyone should be eating and have in their pantry. All right, so some of the things that is on the list is kale, all right? Spinach, drop a money bag if you're already eating these. Berries, wheatgrass, sea vegetables, spirulina, hemp seeds, coconut water. Y'all gonna see me drinking my coconut water, pine nuts, and basil. All right, so drop some money bags in the comment section if you are already eating some of these things on a regular basis. Chris,
yes,
are you already eating most of these things already? Are you already eating most of these things?
Majority of them I am. I eat for my blood type, so a lot of these are already in my diet, so yes.
What do you mean you eat for your blood type? What's your blood type?
My blood type is O.
Okay.
And as we talk about illness and being, that was something I had to learn. Sorry, my phone. That was something I had to learn. I have asthma, and my body was breaking down just from the food I was eating. And it took a couple of different doctors and specialists to figure it out. But that's kept me out of ICU for the last 5 years. And I don't think that we think about it. The food is, we don't have to automatically go get a medicine. Try changing your diet. A lot of things aren't made for you specifically.
Yes. Yeah. So just before we start talking about the book, just like on the base level, if you create a good habit, it just tends to fall over into other parts of your life. Discipline in one area always creates discipline in another area. Would you say this to be true?
For sure.
Yeah, I would say that for sure. Now, the interesting thing, we talked about blood type, diet, and nutrition. Yeah, that's very, very important. Okay, so separate from the fact that food will help you generate more wealth and you want to make sure that you're eating those things, what would you say to your customers, because you do a lot of meal planning, what would you say to your customers that looked at that list and they're just like, yuck?
Start slow. My thing is, don't try cold turkey, because again, you get discouraged and you're gonna quickly go back. Take one thing at a time. Take one of the things you should not be eating and supplement it with the berries. And there's multitudes of fruits. But start with something on that list that is beneficial for you. And it is a mind thing. And once you start, like I said, it does trickle down into other things, but I don't say go cold turkey. Substitute one thing at a time. And as you slowly do it, you'll feel good about it, and then you'll want to do it more, and it'll become a habit.
Right. So I'm always looking at, eating healthy from the aspect of, before I delve into, just changing your diet and what you're eating. Here is what, separate from like what your body looks like and your blood type, right? Because sometimes some people really like that conversation just seems far away. But one of the main reasons why I eat healthy is because I don't want to have to take off from work. I don't want to have to take off from work.
Just getting sick in general, yeah.
Just getting sick. Like, before you start talking about the correlation between, food and mood and food and funds, and that's still funds, right? Because if you have to take off from work, then that means that you're not in place to make any money, right? So now you're not in place to make the money. That's the first thing. The second thing is that one of the things that knocks out my clients' credit is medical bills. Medical bills will take you out. Right? So if you start addressing some of your health challenges from the aspect of food, right? Number one, you don't have to take off from work as much. Number two, the fact that you're not going to the doctor really decreases that the propensity for something negative to be on your credit report. So even if you can't connect to the conversation in terms of, okay, I need to eat healthier because I'm going to make more money, or I'll have more energy. Just think about the fact, like, I don't want to take off from work. I don't want nothing on my credit. That's just the base.
This is real spill you're speaking right now. Like,
I'm serious. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's one of the main things, like, having to go to the doctor, take my children to the doctor. Like, so sometimes people think that, okay, this isn't really about money, in terms of that, but everything is economics. Everything is economics. It feeds into a system. There's no part of your life that doesn't address your money. And on top of it, if you're unhealthier, now you have to pay more for life insurance. If you're, so this always goes, it all kind of
goes back to the circle.
Yeah. So even if you don't like Amy's list, some of the reasons to just change it is because the way you treat your body will impact your body. The way it will impact your budget. Okay. So back to the list. All right. So, if you guys are tuning in, we already showed up the list. We'll show it a few more times. We'll drop it in the comment section just in case you want to go back into it. So one of the tips, so I want to share this. And Chris, share some of the stuff that you got out of the book that you really, really liked, okay? Because I was giving Amy a hard time, possibly because the book, Food and Wealth, Food and Money, was more so addressing a lot of the things that I already knew. So I like to kind of read a book and get something, that I wasn't already doing. That's the point of reading a book, right? I want to get something. So here's something that she shared that I did like. Look, I already started my jar, Chris. Look, I already started my jar.
Hey.
All right, cool. So one of the things that she mentioned in the book is she says that she keeps this blessing jar, right? So it's just a mason jar with the top on it. And as soon as I read that part of the book, I know one of the things that I keep for myself and keep for my children is a gratitude jar. So what I do with the gratitude jar is that if something really good happened to me, I take it and I write it down. And on one of those days that it might not be going very well for me, what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll reference the jar and be like, oh, Shawnee, it's not that bad. Look at all this stuff, good stuff that happened to you, right? So that gratitude jar really helped out. Then, so she kind of changed it around. She turned it into a blessing jar. What she does with the blessing jar is she, like if she's at the cash register and she gets some money, they give her some change back, she always makes sure that she keeps it and she adds it here. Then another thing that she does with the jar is that when she's walking around, she sees a quarter, dime, nickel, penny, whatever the case, she takes that and then she adds it into the jar. So what that does is she says it reminds her that money comes to her easily. It comes to her easily. Somehow we lost Crystal. I don't know what happened, okay? So that's one of the things that she did. I did like that point inside of the book. Some interesting things that she also mentioned into the book that I don't like spirulina. I know that it's really, really good for your blood. I don't like spirulina. I'm going to reference it again. Yeah. So I don't like spirulina. I wish this was a little bit bigger because I can't see it. I hope you guys can really see the list. Oh, the blessing jar. Okay. So you can go back to the other list for me. Go back to the other list with the food on it. So for instance, if you're looking at the list and you're trying to devise that, hey, I want to add these extra things to my pantry so that I can benefit from it, is that you may want to try them in a smoothie first, because when my eating habits were just not in alignment with things like this, what I would actually do is put them all inside a smoothie, because sometimes I didn't like the taste of them. So I figured if I would just turn this and convert all of these things into liquid, that it would totally work out for me. All right. Cool, that's the list. Now, here's something very interesting that Crystal mentioned last week, a big jar like that. Yes, that's good. Okay, all right, so Chris, so when we were talking, what you did was, when we looked at the list, you did some additional research, which I thought was very interesting. So I'll kind of let you take over the conversation, because you did some substantial research to talk about how a lot of the foods that we eat now, and we think that they're just traditional dishes, that they actually had a lot to do with money. So let's talk about some of those foods and let's make the link, because you'll see like around the holidays, around Christmas, people start eating like all these different things, and to you it just feels like tradition. But Crystal has broken down that it's actually some money to the madness. So let's talk about the list real quick.
Okay, and a few of the foods, the berries, and especially teas and herbs, they were traded in a lot of countries as their form of money for bartering. So there was a black tea, and that was considered high price, high society. Only the elite had this tea, so it was exchanged for money. You could purchase things, go silk, fabrics, other foods. So that's where it, and it's a mental click thing. Yes, some of these foods are great for you, but a lot of these traditions became to be because these things were used as a bartering system. Before there was coin money, paper money, gold clearly was too much to carry around. Nobody's carrying that around. So the foods were used as money. Here, let me open up my notes here. And then I believe she put the link to the book in the if you guys want to open that up.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
The book is there.
Hold on, let me.
So the in terms of this, so I hope you guys are kind of like catching that. If not, drop it in the comment section. What she's saying is that essentially a lot of the foods that you will see on our menus around New Year's, black eyed peas, collard greens, yams,
Yams.
sweet potatoes, right? So you will think that all of this is tradition, when in fact, a lot of these foods were delicacies, so they were actually used for the bartering system, right? That's what they used. Instead of using actual coins and current, that was their currency. Food was the way in which they were bartering. So these particular foods were, we'll drop the link in just a second. These particular foods were considered with high society. So if you had access to them, that means that you had access to wealth. That means you had access to money. So when you think about the black eyed peas, when you think about the collard greens, they're not just there, just, you know, just by hit or miss. They're
setting the
actually
intention
there.
for the year. Yes.
Yeah.
With the eating those foods and cleaning out and making sure there's no dirty clothes and all those things are setting intentions for the year. You want to bring money in. You want to start the year off good. And again, though, until I read this book and started researching, I didn't know where. I thought they were some maybe folklore, some African tales. I had no clue. And these things came from all over the world. There were different places that use different items, and everywhere has food. So that's what they use. And it's quite interesting.
Right. So Sabrina, I saw you just make a comment, which is very true. But what was so interesting to me is that, you know, that all just sounds like talk, right? Like, okay, if you eat these type of foods, then you'll bring in more money, right? That's like a really cool conversation. But for me, the connection became even richer when I realized that this was the bartering system. This was the money. Black eyed peas, cornbread. The collard greens was looked at as the dollars. The cornbread, because of the color of it, was looked at as the coins. So the association with, like, if you were able to gain access to these particular foods, you were actually a part of the elite culture within that particular culture, you know. And what was cool about the research, Chris, is that it wasn't just in American culture. Like, these foods actually transmuted from one place to the next, you know, like the food, you know, if we looked in Arabian traditions, if we were looking at Native Americans, you know, all of these different cultures was actually utilizing these particular foods to bring wealth into their homes. So they weren't just thinking about it in terms of, hey, this is what I'm eating to make my body feel good, but it had an association with creating more money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rocking with it.
It's all
so
patterns, yeah.
Yeah, so before it felt like, you know, like traditions, like my grandma would be like, okay, well, we're gonna have fish, or we're gonna have this. You're just thinking like, okay, this is just traditional, I need to do this. So it kind of really helped out that to know that there is a correlation to currency with bringing these in. So some of the foods I had did away with. I wasn't even like, you know, I wasn't heavy on them. But this year, I'm
participating this year. I'm not gonna be a hater.
This year, I'm really gonna bring it in.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're not gonna hold you. This was the bulk of the conversation. Number one, just to show you that list that we got from Amy Martin as it relates to different foods that she's saying is just basically going to raise your mental health so that you can begin to choose some mental mental wealth. These are some different foods that she worked in. Yes, even Cindy, you're mentioning the soup jumu, right? So what was so interesting about the soup jumu? What's so interesting about the soup jumu? You can see my face back on, Natasha. What's so interesting that I studied with my boys about the soup jumu, it's the reason why they chose to make that particular soup around New Year's times is because while they were enslaved, they didn't have access. They could not eat that. So the reason why they prepared it was a way to stake their claim that, like, you know, we deserve the absolute best, just like you. So you would think that, oh, it was more of a celebratory, you know, meal. In fact, it was really a declaration that, like, we are on par with you. If you can have delicacies, we can have delicacies too. So, you know, once you get some of the, you know, a lot of the times when we're passing down a lot of the information, we're not passing down the ideology oftentimes because we didn't have access to it. They get our books, burned it, all these different things. But just to be able to recant it and see that these were being shared, you know, over different nationalities was like, it's just like huge for me. So I'm back on it. I had left a lot of it alone, but I'm back. All right, folks, so we're not going to hold you. We just wanted to, number one, share the list out with you to let you know some of those different foods. If they're not in your pantry, find ways to put them in your pantry so that you can just become a healthier person and have a healthier mind. And when you have a healthier mind, of course, you're just going to make healthier money decisions, okay? The other part of it is that we want to make sure that you're coming to our money therapy workshop this month. We're going to be hanging out. Everybody knows that Shani doesn't drink, so we're going to have we're going to have two versions of the mojito. We're going to have the non-alcoholic version, and then we're going to have the one that's a little lit up for those of you who want to get a little lit up. But the whole idea is to make sure that we are having money conversations that allow us to make healthier decisions, as well as having social connection, because it's not just about how much money you bring in, but it's about the memories that you attach to your money. So you guys follow Crystal. She always is sharing some great tips as it relates to flipping your meals up. Oh my gosh, the other day, me and this coconut water, it's just doing me a number. Today I was making some pancakes for the boys, so I wanted to get some tips on how to flip the meals around just a little bit, because I'm vegan-ish, which means I slide a little fish in there every now and then. So I'm always trying to find some different ways to kind of invigorate my my food. So I always tap into her for that. She always has some really great recipes. And again, I did drop that link so that you can be a part of the December 28th Money Therapy Workshop, where it's not just about your expenses, it's about your experiences. Oh, let me just close out. I was going to give you some more money. Chris, did you have one last thing to say before we let them go? We're going to head over to IG just in case some other people want to.
No, but one thing I do want to say, again, start small, implement one thing at a time. Also, one of the biggest things you could do is your breakfast. Change your habits on your breakfast. Break your fast.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll share some more information on that on my page. Just follow me at Crystal Cleere.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting concept for those of you that are still there. So another thing is that I intermittent fast. Are you an intermittent faster as well, Crystal?
I don't.
You don't intermittent fast. Okay, so the reason why I started intermittent fast is just because I really looked at the etymology of the word breakfast, right? All the time, like for such a long time, we were socialized that we need to have all these meals, you know, in one day. We need to eat this amount of meals and things like that. Yeah, Crystal, she wants you to drop your IG in the comment section. Okay, so most of us were socialized that we need to have X amount of meals all during the day. And then I looked up the etymology of the word breakfast, which means to break fast, right? When you take those two words and you separate them, you begin to understand like what your body is going through. So all night long, right, your body is going through a fast. It's not taking any foods in. It's regenerating, it's rejuvenating, it's creating new cells, it's cleaning your blood, it's doing all of these different things. So when you wake up in the morning, it really doesn't want you to drop the heaviest possible thing in it. It doesn't want you to load up a bunch of carbohydrates. It doesn't want you to put all those things in it. It actually wants you to, you know, take in something in a more simple form, like water. Is one of the first thing that I put inside of my body, right? It's the first thing that I put inside of my body, just because I want to slowly let my body break a fast. Also, another thing that's really key is that I make sure, for the most part, that my meals, my food intake is done at 8 o'clock as well. Just because one of the challenges that I typically will have is that if you eat too close to your bedtime, then your body isn't fully asleep, even when you're laying down, because what it has to do is it has to move in order to be able to break down the food that you're taking in. So for those of you who are not into intermittent fasting, maybe look it up, because it does give you a different way to kind of set your body up differently. And oftentimes, as I have these different conversations that are related to money, people are asking me like, okay, how does money and food relate to each other, right? Money is everything. It's not everything in terms of that you should trade over your entire life for it, not in that regard, but money and economics will find its way to every inch of your life. You know, no matter what you're talking about, economics will play a role in it, right? So if you think about your health and you think about your wealth, right, they're all assisted with each other. Like if you don't feel well, if you're not energized, if you're not, moving your body on a regular basis, I'm always going to reference the study that I did at Harvard at the beginning of the year. It's still a free class that you can take. It's called The Science of Well-Being. And what they do is they outline 5 activities, Chris, 5 activities if you want to have a good mood. And money was not on them. In fact, what they said was once you get to $75,000 in income annually, money will not have an impact on your ability to live a happy life. Now, they did require that you hit that 75,000 because they didn't want you to have challenges when it came to paying your rent, paying your mortgage, getting a house, and things like that. They want to make sure that those base level things were already segmented. They want those to be taken care of, that you should exercise to at least, at a minimum, get to the $75,000. But those that made 250, 300, they were not more happier than those that made 75. They weren't more happier. Like they weren't. They had the same level of happiness. Wow. They had the same level of happiness. In fact, the people that were actually happy, here's the people, the habits of the people that were actually happy. Number one, those people that made an intention of writing down things that they were thankful for every single day. Every day, just sitting down for 10 minutes, writing down something they were thankful for. Number two, making sure that you moved your body every single day, whether you were boxing, whether you're going for a walk, whether you're going to do yoga. They just wanted to make sure that you moved your body every single day. Number three, connectivity, to have connection to another person on a daily basis. One of the things that they did in the study is that they would actually have people to interact with strangers. You had to interact with a stranger. Your interaction with a stranger could be very, very simple. It could be just looking in their eyes or just giving them a smile. After they would do this research, they would come back in and they would test this people's mood, because human interaction is something that actually boosts your mood. So when you look at just some of those very, very simple changes that you can make when you think, I need to make more money, I need to make more money, I need to make more money. Possibly if you're not at the 75,000, then maybe some of your, some of your base level expenses are not being fulfilled. But if you're already at that number, what you should shift your mind to is behavior. Your daily behavior will actually make you happy than making more money. What was interesting about it is that, in limiting your time on social media. Limiting your time on social media, because they said what was really driving a lot of people wild was social comparisons, which is why I feel like I'm online all the time, but I am not. I have a timer on my phone that allows me to be online 2 hours max. 2 hours. Otherwise, it starts dinging, dinging, dinging. And even for those parties that they said that had like healthy habits, just the fact that you're constantly like tuning into other people's lives, you're going to spend an additional $4 per week just by being online. That was like the numerics of it, because it was correlated with social comparisons. So if you keep seeing people like this, go to eat, have vacations, all of these different things, then you want to participate in it. So what they were saying is, it was like a very interesting study. I deeply enjoyed it, which is where money therapy came from, just to give people the opportunity to be able to have some other experiences, not directly to talking about making more money, but having the opportunity to create experiences. In fact, those people, that was one of the number 5 on the list, people that had experiences, as opposed to those that spent all of their money on just expenses, more bags, more purses, more shoes, more this, more that. Those that had experiences was actually happier than those that bought the
That's
Gucci
my
bag.
thing. I'll take a trip in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you know, like that was it. And interesting enough, they did a little bit of science behind like vacations too. That was also a part of the study. Yeah. They wanted to make sure that if you did decide to take a vacation, that it was heavily linked to an experience. Like you needed to make sure that you did something wild and crazy, you know, like ate ice cream at the top of this mountain or something like that. Or else this vacation just came like another thing that you posted on social media. The study was like amazing, right?
Wow.
So it was an amazing study. It's called The Science of Well-Being. Okay. So that is why I birthed out money therapy, so that people can start having more experiences. For those of you who are just joining the conversation, Crystal, my meal planning buddy, is going to be teaching us how to make mojitos. So when you come there, you get to laugh, you get to bond with other people, other like-minded people. It's a free workshop. All you have to do is use the link, and then you become more creative. As you become more creative, there's a dotted line connection with creativity and making more cash. It's a dotted line, you know, it's kinetic energy. Once you put those two together, you're going to make more cash. But as you make this more cash, you're never going to make the association with like, this is, you know, the pinnacle of my happiness, because it is not. It is not. No matter who they are, they're probably not happier than you if they're not doing those daily activities. All right, so we have enjoyed this time with you. We're going to head over to IG and have a very similar conversation. For those of you that are tuned in, please be sure to tune in and join Money and Mojitos, because Crystal will be making money. I'll be talking about money. She'll be making mojitos. We'll holla.
See you next week.
Bye.